Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. Today I'm going to be doing a video on editing your photos. So I'm super stoked to get started and kind of see what you guys sent me. So first off, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Any sort of support is awesome. So before you start the video, if you want to like, subscribe, and comment, that would be amazing. It really helps bring traffic to my channel and for other people to see this video. But yeah, let's get right into it. I put out a story on my Instagram asking basically for you guys to send in your photos. I think there was about 15 submissions from people on my Instagram, and I only narrowed it down to 2 because it actually takes me about 10 minutes to edit one photo. That's just how it goes. So I'm actually going to show you like step by step on how I edit. So I can only choose 2 photos, so I'm really sorry for everyone who was looking forward to seeing their photos, but I had to choose 2. I kind of chose one portrait and one landscape, which I really loved. And one is actually shot in RAW, and the other one is in JPEG. So it's kind of going to show you that you can still edit a JPEG, but obviously RAW is the way to go. I think personally, there's so much more information in a RAW file that you can bring out in editing. So I highly recommend shooting in RAW, but it's okay to also shoot in JPEG. You can also get the same sort of look, and I'll show you that with the edits. So let's get into it and show you the photos that the people sent in. All right, so the first photo that I have here is by Nate. I'll put his little handle at the bottom. So yeah, this is Nate's photo of his girlfriend Hannah. I actually shot with his girlfriend and him a while back. They're awesome. So he sent me one of his photos of her, a portrait at one of my favorite spots in the area, Golden Ears Provincial Park. So let's get into develop here. So he sent me the RAW, so this will be pretty easy to edit. I believe it's a Sony file from what I see. Yeah, I think it's a Sony file. So yeah, I'm just gonna kind of talk through it. So this photo is a little bit overexposed, but it's honestly, for me, it's fine. A lot of the photos even I shoot, I tend to shoot overexposed a bit, especially for portraits, because I find sometimes there's too much shadows in the face. So it's maybe not the right way to do it, but there's no right or wrong way to shoot photos as long as it looks good, right? Alright, so bump up the exposure, bring up the contrast, bring down the highlights, see what that looks like. Yeah, bring up the shadows a pinch, bring up the whites, and then I like to crush the blacks. Not too much. Yeah, that looks already pretty good. Let's see the white balance. Depends on what you're going for, but like for this it's kind of moody, so I might drop down the temperature on this just to play into the mood of the photo. So that might be good. Bring up the purple tint touch, maybe like that. Go to the tone curve. So for any of you who do know my photos and follow me on Instagram, you'll know that I edit pretty simple. I find I like to edit so the photo is more like what I remember it being in real life for the most part. And I also like adding a film kind of look, like a soft look to it. So that's probably good. Just a simple S-curve is mostly what I do on my photos. Let's go to the hue. So I also like to just play around, like see what it affects. See, it's affecting her skin color and the sand on the beach. So let's not touch that too much. Let's just try to get the skin color right. I think that's pretty good. See, I like to just play around because every photo is different. But when there are greens in the photo, I like to actually make it look more like a fall color. I don't know why, but in all my photos you'll notice that the greens are a bit more yellowy kind of. It's just a personal preference. And I also like to add like a touch of blue on the, I guess that'd be like turquoise color, I don't know, on the left side of the slider. Yeah, it looks pretty good. So bring in some color into her face. I guess I just like kind of playing around, seeing how it looks. Yeah. That looks pretty good. Depending on the photo, I like to either bring the blues up or down. I think for this photo, I might just bring it down a touch. Yeah. And I also, for some reason, when I edit all my photos, I like to always bring the purple and magenta down. I don't know why, it's just kind of a habit of mine. I think I just don't like seeing the purples in the photo as much. I don't know why, but I just always do that. I'm a creature of habit, so I tend to do the same thing on almost every photo. Let's bring back the detail in her face a bit. See, this is honestly what I do on every photo. You can see why it takes me, sometimes it takes me a long time to edit photos. But even for the split toning, I honestly do the same split toning on every single photo, I think. Yeah, like same value, and then the saturation always changes depending on the photo, but the value of the color never changes. I don't know why. It's what works for me. It might not work for you, but so I'm also like, this is actually where I edit too. So I don't really have an office space yet. It's honestly just a couch in a living room. We're moving soon, so we will hopefully have an office space once we move. But yeah, it works. This is fine, I'm comfortable. So what I'm doing here in the split toning is, so the highlights are everything that is like a bit more not overexposed, but like the whites and basically the whites in the photo. So basically you're kind of changing the color of that with the split toning, and the shadows the same thing. So you're changing the color of the shadows. The reason why I do the values I do is because so basically for me in my head, the shadows are usually colder, but I like to kind of switch that and make them a bit warmer. I don't know why. And with the highlights I do the opposite, so I bring it a bit cooler, and it kind of creates this natural looking image to me, if that makes sense. It's hard for me to kind of edit and talk at the same time, but I'm trying my best. So the noise reduction, I always kind of put 5 to 10%. I don't know why I do. There's a lot of things I don't know why I do. I just do it and it works for me. But I usually do 5 to 10% of noise reduction, just in case maybe there's some parts of the image that might be a little bit of noise, and it also softens the image a bit. So it kind of gives it like a natural feel to me. And then I sharpen it a bit with 45%. I think it's valued at 40% all the time. So I just do 45, sharpen it up a bit. I don't do any lens correction generally, unless it's like very distorted, but this image I feel like it's pretty good. There's not too much distortion on the edges. Transform depends on the photo, but sometimes I'll use it just to, you know, bring the background forward a bit possibly, or something like that. Effects I don't touch. Calibration I do not touch. So that is almost done, I think. I'm really liking how it's turning out, but let's go to this crop here. See, maybe it'll look better. Cropped in. No, I think generally the composition he got is pretty good. You could, if you wanted to, for Instagram's sake, you could put it 8x10 crop it like that if you want. Like that. But I kind of like what he shot, the landscape. You know, not a lot of people shoot that way anymore just because it's for social media, but just for this tutorial sake, I'm gonna leave it because I actually like how it shows everything, and everything kind of surrounds her, which is really nice. But yeah, I'm just gonna finish up. So basically that's what I do at first, and then I like to crop. I don't know why I don't crop first then edit. I edit then crop. So I like to crop, so that was my second step in how I edit. And then the last couple steps are kind of fine tuning. So this is where I use the radial filter, I believe it's called. And I like to, in most images, especially with a portrait, I like to, wherever the subject is, I like to darken the bottom of the image a bit, just so your eye is more drawn to the subject. So just that little tweak right there kind of draws your eye more to the subject. You know, just a simple thing like that. Now your eye is a bit more towards her. And for the sky here, I kind of like how it's moody and foggy. So I might just bring down the highlights a bit, and then I'm gonna bring up the whites to kind of create, maybe not that much, maybe a little bit, just to kind of keep bring down or get the detail of the photo, but then bring back the whites, because if you put down the highlights too much, I just personally don't like the look. So I like to bring it down a bit, but then bring the whites back in, because when you bring the highlights down, it kind of takes away the white, if that makes sense. It kind of looks gray, especially with clouds. So kind of like that. Maybe I'll do a bit more white. See, so that's what I would do personally, but not everyone would like that style, like the blown out sky, but that's kind of like my style, so I kind of like that. And then again, I'm gonna kind of bring some radial filters around her in the trees here. I'm gonna slightly bring down the shadows. Maybe like that, and on this side too. Just a touch, you know, not too much. So there you go, I'm really liking that. And I actually might make these trees a bit darker, because just to match the whole image, see right there. See, that's already looking a lot better. Yeah, so that's good. So now my last touch is I'm gonna zoom in on her, and as you see, her face there's a little blown out in her face. The highlights are pretty strong in her forehead and her cheeks and her nose, just from the light coming probably above her. This is probably taken like in the afternoon sometime, so not midday, but it's cloudy, so it's fine. But I just put like a radial filter over the face, bring down the highlights a bit, quite a bit, and I bring up the shadows a bit just to even out the shadows. I bring up the shadows to even out her face, sorry. And then I crush the blacks a little bit. I don't like to do too much, because if you do too much and it gets too shadowy, like that, yeah, no. So I just bring it down a touch, just like that even. Oops. And also a little trick that I learned, I can't remember where I learned it, probably a YouTube video, was to do like an easy softening in Lightroom, because I don't like to take any of my photos into Photoshop, especially with female or male's faces. Like, I don't like to add too much brushing to their face. I don't do any. So I kind of do it in Lightroom in a sense. So I do -30 clarity. So right there you can tell her face already got soft. But I don't like it too soft, so I kind of bring it back with sharpening. There you go. So that looks pretty good to me. I'm gonna bring down the shadows a touch, because I think I maybe overdid it. Like that. And then I kind of do some fine tuning with the skin color, because right now she's looking a little too warm, like her skin tone. So I'm going to bring it down in the temperature, -10. And then maybe bring up the purples a bit, like that. I think it's good. Might even bring down the, maybe like that. Let's see what's before. A little too much purple. And it's a lot of fine tuning when you edit, especially portraits. Okay. So to me that looks pretty good. I might even bring down the exposure a bit and then bring up the shadows a touch. See, that's looking really moody. I really like that. And I'm gonna, this is also another step I do with people in the photo, is I just add some clarity and some sharpness to really make her pop out of the image or the subject. So yeah, I think I really like that. I think that's pretty much all I would do. I think that looks sweet. So I think that looks good. Actually, the bridge might be a little crooked, so let's bring it like that. Yeah, so that is the first photo by Nate. Thanks, Nate, for sending it in. Yeah, I'm happy with that. That's dope. Okay, let's go on to the next photo. Awesome spot. This photo is from Kristen. I believe she's from Oregon. I could be wrong, because this spot is in Oregon. It's a beautiful hot spring I've been to a couple times. Looks like she got some snow, so that's awesome. I've never been there with snow. Yeah, so this is actually the photo I mentioned earlier that is JPEG. So this is the only JPEG that was sent to me, but I kind of want to show you guys that you can still edit a photo in JPEG. So there is going to be not as much information, but you can still kind of get away with an edit on here. So you'll notice when I'm editing, like my values and stuff that I put in are usually the same, very similar. So let's do a quick edit here. So since it looks moody, I'm going to kind of bring the temperature down. Not too much. Maybe right there. Bring up, no. Bring up the purple a touch. Maybe like that. Let's go to the tone curve. Looks good. Also, Kristen, this is an awesome comp. I really like this. Really brings in the focus to the hot spring, and also this little, what do you want to call it? A little shelter with the hot spring in it. The tree line brings the focus in right here. If you see that, kind of leading lines right to the middle of the frame. And leading line here. Leading line here, leading line here. Yeah, it's a really awesome comp. So yeah, so this is what I said earlier, kind of like crushing the greens to make it look almost like, not fall, but a bit more yellowy, a little bit more yellow in the greens than what the image usually is. Unless it is fall time, but here it's winter. Sorry, I'm not talking. I'm getting so focused on this image that I'm not really talking it through. But yeah, so there's a bit of yellow in this image, and I don't know if I like it. I think too much yellow looks kind of murky and not inviting. So I'm gonna just bring down the yellows a bit. Keep it natural though. You know, it's how it looks there, but I just don't want to really like bring out those colors in the photo, because personally I just don't like how it looks kind of murky and uninviting. So that's good. Yeah. Oh yeah, forgot to do saturation. Always take out the purples, so don't know why. Split toning, pretty much the same on every photo. And I honestly only add a little bit of split toning in my photos, so yeah, it's just something I do. Just a little touch. I don't like to do too much. Just see, like, it just kind of takes away from the image, and you're more focused on the edit. I feel like you should edit so you're focusing on the photo, not so much the edit. That's what kind of like one of my #1 rules is trying to keep the photo as natural as possible for the most part. So yeah, it's not too bad. I'm gonna I did mention earlier I do like to like darken the bottom on if there's a subject, but in this photo I'm gonna kind of like draw your eye away from this bottom part. I guess I do kind of do that in most photos, but it really depends on the situation. Bring out the fog. Dehaze. So that's another way to bring out the fog a bit in your photos, if there is a bit, is to actually bring down the dehaze. So you kind of adds like a fog kind of effect. You don't want too much because then it'll start looking fake, but oops. So that's probably pretty good. Like that, and then crush the blacks a bit to bring it. Yeah. So let's see the before. That's before, after, before, after, before, after. But yeah, I think that would be all I would do for this photo. I would maybe like add some color to this, but I don't know. Let's see, just quickly. More blue. Yeah, looks a bit better. Looks a bit more inviting. Quick little tip here to actually, one sec. So this is the mask of where it's being affected. You can actually go here, range mask, color, grab this little drop and click the drop, and it kind of will take the color that you pick from the drop and only focus on that color. So you might have to play around with it a bit, but generally it looks pretty good. There's a bit color being affected up here, so if you wanted to take the brush, erase, and then really quickly just erase the parts that you don't want being affected. Oops, that's okay. I'm just kind of rushing through these because I don't want the video to be too long, but yeah, there you go. It's not bad. You can also even change the color if you want to get crazy. Using whatever color you want. Bring down the saturation level so it looks not so fake. That looks not too bad. Just like that. Yeah, I think that is how I would edit the photo. Thanks for tuning in. That is it for today on this episode of Editing Your Photos. I'll show the befores right now on screen and the afters. So if you really like what I did here and you want your photos to be edited, please send it to me. My email is in the description, so just shoot me an email with your photos and I will try my best to choose it and do a video like this with your photo. So again, please like, comment, subscribe. It really helps me and drives traffic to this channel. I appreciate you guys watching. See you next time.